obviously they're big companies, so it's a small portion of it. The biggest reason they pay us is actually the increased customer retention. So as you guys know, you went out and researched how to decrease your bill. You're probably spending a lot. You want to lessen that amount. A lot of times other clouds might come around and say, hey, we'll give you some credits if you move to our cloud. So the biggest thing they're worried about with you guys for their small to mid-sized customers is you guys continuing to build and grow on the AWS platform rather than leave to GCP or leave to Azure. And then on top of that, we're also providing an extra layer of support that you get your AWS support that you currently have, and you also have us as a backup in case you ever needed anything else along those lines. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry. This is John, and I'm with Jimmy here.
Okay.
And I have one question. So, do we have to make any adjustment for our environment or any change of our account?
Yeah. So Pump is pretty simple. The way that AWS has spun up this business model is we take over billing. In order to take over billing, first of all, there's no downtime to any infrastructure if you were to join Pump. What happens is there's two ways to join Pump. So if you're using organizational services, that's another reason we have you, when we run the estimate, we can take a peek at which ones you might be using. If you aren't using any of them, you can actually join Pump's group organization, meaning you just bring your accounts over to the Pump organization. We do not take any passwords or usernames from those accounts. Those account numbers stay the same. We just own the billing level access to the whole organization. If you do have organizational services, we give you your own Pump organization where you would just bring those accounts over. And when you onboard with Pump, it actually only takes a few clicks to move each account over. So there's no downtime. The infrastructure runs in the account level, so there's no worries on that front. Does that make sense?
So what are our role to AWS after this? Are we still billing to AWS, or how does it work?
So billing, that's really the only noticeable change that happens if you join Pump is, and again, this is how AWS has spun up this partnership model, is we take over billing. So you would still be able to see your normal bill in Cost Explorer in the AWS console. You continue using AWS as you are today. Then we bill you, which would be the same bill that you see in Cost Explorer. We would bill you for your AWS usage, and then we pay AWS on your behalf. That's really the only noticeable difference that happens. All the infrastructure level stuff stays in your hands.
Okay. So how are we gonna get the saving part from?
Yeah. So let's get into that now.
Okay, thank you.
So a little bit about our traction here, and then this brings us into the savings. So we're over 2,500 customers now, almost at 3K. Couple I like to point out are Tandem Bank, which is a bank out in the UK. Obviously, they have strict GDPR law requirements as well as sensitive data. Also, SegMed out in the United States, they have to stay HIPAA compliant. They also have sensitive data. I just point them out because, again, we only operate on the billing layer, so we don't take any access to the infrastructure, and that's why those companies are able to work with us. On average, we save around 20 to 30%. It can be as high as 60, and that's why we run the estimate, because obviously you guys know there's infinite ways to set up your AWS account structure. There's 80,000 different billing codes, so we run that estimate to see what exact savings we could get for you before you have to make any decisions. And then this last piece is actually how we achieve our first portion of savings. So right now we're managing over $200 million in AWS spend per year, which gets our customers access to what we call group buying. So this is where, I'm sure you saw online, people call us the Costco of cloud. Essentially, these are volume tier discounts on certain AWS services that are just automatically applied if you join if you join Pump. So that's the easy part. But any questions on that piece?
So group buying is you have a contract with AWS, or we have to give a commitment?
Yeah, so that is no commitment from you guys. This is us going to AWS and saying, hey, we spend $200 million per year. Can we get a better rate on things like S3 or EC2 data transfer? And they say, yep, here you go. And then we just pass those straight down to the customer.
Oh, I see.
Yep. And then the second portion of the savings comes from our AI model. So what we do is we look for and this is what the estimate will do, as well as if you join Pump on an ongoing basis. We would look for your static on-demand workloads and look for the best places to replace those reserved instances and savings plans. Before I go any further, do you guys have any RIs or savings plans today?
Yes, we have some.
Got it. Yeah, so you can bring those along. On our estimate, we'll be able to see and pick up the current savings that you have with those reservations, as well as anything additional Pump can save you. And I can show you a picture of that in just a second. But last thing I want to point out is that obviously, you can go out and get these reservations yourself. So this is separate from the group buying portion. You can go out and get these reservations yourself. The big thing that Pump is doing is we're taking the work out of it, figuring out where you might need some of these reservations. And on top of all of that, we're also ensuring that with our no-risk policy. So if you overcommit yourself, Amazon's happy to take your money. With Pump, if there was ever a misstep on our end, we would credit you back with credits. We're a free product, and we want to remain free. We don't want to cost anyone any money. So we found it good value for our customers to be able to spin up this policy. It rarely ever happens, but it's peace of mind for you guys. Any questions on that?
We only compete to give customers. So which means if we overcommit, there won't be the risk of it, or?
Correct. With Pump, all those, as long as you're with Pump, the policies that we recommend and you implement are insured by this no-risk policy.
Okay.
And then, and one thing to point out there, so these are obviously RIs and savings plans. You know how they work. They're either 1 or 3 year commitments. Pump itself is month to month, so you can leave and join Pump 10 times a day if you wanted to. What happens with those commitments is if you were to leave Pump, those commitments stick with you and between you and AWS. So I just want to point that out as well. But Pump itself is just month to month.
Okay.
And then the last piece here is actually what our estimate looks like, and we can reschedule to do this at another time, but what you'll see is your original costs, anything you've saved in the past through either your own doing or maybe another partner, so those would be those RIs and savings plans that you currently have, and then anything additional Pump can save you. And that's all broken down by line item here. So depending on the service and the rate that we've found, we can save you on that service. So any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So for example, if we have the RDS or let's say EC2, it will automatically save from your system, or we have to purchase like saving plan or reserve instance?
So it depends on the service. Specifically with EC2, those would be savings plans or reserved instances. You don't have to implement everything that we recommend, but there might, other services, there's different ways of saving. There's, provision throughput, there's going to be those group buying savings. It really just depends. And that's why we run the estimate, because certain, maybe you're using serverless Aurora, or maybe you're using serverless Lambda. There's all these different combinations that you can have, and that estimate will be able to break it down and show you where we can save and how we can save.
Oh, so this picture is basically all the saving potential, right? Not the exact saving amount.
Yeah, so this would be an example estimate. This is for a particular customer who already had savings on certain products. So let's say they come in and they don't actually have their EC2 covered as much. You'd expect that number to be a little bit higher, whereas they're not very optimized on Elasticache, and so we found them a higher rate of savings. It really just depends on how covered you are right now, as well as what types of usage you're using.
Okay. So, sorry, one more question.
No, go ahead.
Because
yeah,
we have already buy some reserve instance for EC2, but because of we're not so sure about RDS and Elasticache, so we didn't buy the reserve instance. So in that case, even if we join your plan, and
yeah, sure,
you guys recommended us we can buy reserve instance, and turn out it's not fully used. Maybe after 3 to 6 months, what would happen?
Yeah, so in that case, it would be covered by the no risk policy. But one thing that we always remind our customers, and just a quick question, do you guys use Slack at your company?
Slack?
Yeah, the Slack messaging app, maybe
No,
you don't.
no, yeah, we don't.
Yeah, so either way, just curious in terms of communication, but what we do with our customers before, making any final purchases is make sure that we're on the same page about where they see their infrastructure headed, because just as whether you're with Pump or not, it's not necessarily a good thing to buy a plan that would overcommit you. Now, if you're on your own, you have to pay that amount. If something were to happen with Pump, you are covered under our no risk policy. But if you had doubts about you using your RDS infrastructure for the next year, we would recommend you don't purchase that, because it's not going to help you if that's the case when you're with Pump to purchase that. Does that make sense?
So we'll get the evaluation after we join or before we join?
Before we join. So the next step would be to plan another meeting where we could run the estimate, and then you can decide whether or not you can join. And the other thing we'll look at on that estimate call is how your organization is set up, how many accounts you have, if you're using any org services like SSO, because those all have to be, that's how you join Pump. We just need to make sure that all of that runs smoothly, and most people can join Pump in anywhere from a few clicks to maybe another 30-minute call after that.
Okay, I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So on these screenshot, I can only see specific service discount, but do you include other service discounts such as CloudFront or S3? Will your plans also apply the discount on? Oh, wow.
Yep, just to pull that up for you. Yeah, so here's all the services that we cover here. CloudFront is a volume discount. S3 is a volume discount. Let's see here. Any other ones sticking out to you that you use today?
Yeah, we do have CloudWatch, data transfer, guard duty, and then CloudFront and S3.
Awesome. Yeah, so when we run the estimate, we'll pick up what we can find in terms of those savings. Again, it's different for everyone, but that would be the next step from here.
So we doesn't have to create a new account, just we can directly switch to yours and enjoy, let's say for example, like EC2, CloudFront, or CloudWatch, like you say.
Correct, yeah. So all of your account numbers, your usernames, your passwords, those all stay the same. We would just bring those into the Pump organization with one of our stacks. Curious, do you guys have, do you know what your organizational setup looks like? Do you have one account? Do you have multiple accounts? Do you know?
We have multiple accounts, but we are working with one of the reseller in Taiwan. Now, I'm not sure that
Gotcha.
that works too.
Yeah, so it depends. Are you, we probably, most likely, you'd probably have to leave the reseller in Taiwan, but that does depend on how they are. Are you paying them directly right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so you would have to leave them in order to join us. But the good part about us is we can run that estimate before you have to make any of those changes. So you can see how much we can save you. If it looks like a good idea, you can move to us. If you're good with your current partner, you can just stay with them.
Okay, I see. So what do we have to provide you in order to see how much can we save? For example, do you need like a IM access from us, or you need just us to show you our billing statement?
Yeah, so let me pull up the actual permissions that we take. It is an IAM role in the management account, but let me pull that up first. Obviously, we can reschedule for another time to actually run this, which is just a few clicks. It takes 30 seconds. but happy to show you these permissions up front as
Okay,
well,
thank you.
because that's what I usually do on the call. So let me share this screen. Yeah, so this is our read-only stack. So this is what you see or what you run when you run the estimate. Obviously, these are just some of the parameters here, some of the resources that we're creating. These are the actual permissions that we're taking in that IAM role. So all of them are get, list, and describe into different cost data. So you got Cost Explorer, Cost Usage Report, but this is the gist of it.
Is it
But-
possible for us to get this file, because we have to?
Yeah, let me send you a link.
Yeah, because we have to make sure the tech team is okay with this permission, so we can give you this IAM policy.
Yes, definitely. Here, I just put the link in the chat, so you can actually open that in your browser, and it will. You can see that. Let me know when you copy that, just so make sure you got it.
One moment.
And it when we actually run the stack on another call, all we do is we open up your AWS account, go to pump.co, and then we actually have a redirect where it will just automatically create the framework for the stack. So you don't have to, there's no like coding you have to do yourself. You don't have to copy any permissions. It's simply a pasting, clicking some buttons and clicking go.
Okay.
Okay.
So one more question, because we have to gather all the information for our supervisor. Then how
course.
gonna work if we gonna, like, how are we gonna pay after we join?
Yeah, so I'm assuming right now your, oh, do you mean like the currency?
Yeah, either currency or paying by credit card, bank transfer. How does it work? Because like we want to know like the full picture.
Yeah, definitely. So we use Go Cardless as our payment processor. You can use a card, although we recommend that people use an ACH payment, bank transfer, because an ACH transfer does not have any fees. The credit card does have a 3% fee. So we like our customers to avoid that by paying with ACH.
Okay, so
So how's the payment usually goes? We pay after AWS generates the bills.
Yeah, so the bills will be released. Obviously, we can see, you will be able, again, you still have access to your Cost Explorer. So once those bills are processed, which I believe is the 3rd of every month, you pay 7 days after that is when we do if you set up an automatic payment system, it'll happen 7 days after that. If you want to get invoiced each month and pay it directly like that, you can also choose to do it that way, and you'll get notifications, then you can pay it manually, but however you decide.
So do we have to sign like a contract or
Yeah, so no, AWS Pump does not have any contracts. We're month to month. The only thing you'll click through is our terms and conditions, which are, just the normal stuff. There's no contract, there's no lock-in.
it's like a DocuSign or?
Yeah, so it's actually just on our page, it's actually just a checkbox, but let me send the link to our terms and conditions here. So I'll just put that in the chat as well. That way you have that too.
So we'll have to pay after the AWS billing is created and pay within the months, right?
Yeah, so our terms are 7 days currently.
So what would happen if we pay later than 7 days? Because right now we're paying after, like, within the months. So we have to talk to our financial team.
Okay, yeah, so what would happen, we just send you a reminder. We're far more lenient than even AWS is themselves. Typically, we'll warn customers for 2 or 3 months. If there are, delinquent payers happen, we're working with a lot of startups. Typically, we'll remind them almost 3 months in a row before we actually take action and send them back to AWS, essentially.
Okay.
But you just get a reminder, say, hey, late invoice.
I see. So
May we know what's the according to the screen you just shared to us, excluding savings and reserve instance, rest of the discount is on volume tier discount, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
So we have.
are you able to show us
So,
the discount rate about S3?
Yeah, so it depends on the region you're using, which region, and it might be easier just to wait to do the estimate, but which region are you currently using your S3 in?
It's mostly in Tokyo and Singapore.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to double check the exact rates. When we run the estimate, it'll tell us right off the
Yeah,
bat
sure, no problem.
what your savings rate is, depending on the region that S3 bucket is in. But
Okay.
it can be anywhere from 4% to 8%, I think.
Got
Just
it.
around
got
there.
it.
And that's just, again, that's just straight off. Like, you don't have to make any reservations. It's just a straight up discount.
Okay, so one more question. You mentioned that we can review the billing from Cost Explorer. So still, is it possible we can still view the billing from the account side, like the invoice part?
Yep.
Of that?
Yep, correct. Yeah, so you'll still have access to your costs in the AWS console, and then you'd be able to compare those to what Pump is charging you, just assuming everything matches up, essentially.
So
Because we make our money off of
the
AWS
amount
paying
will
us
be
direct.
the original price, or it will be after pumped savings.
So the amount you'll see will actually be in both AWS and Pump will actually be the after savings amount. That's because billing would route through a Pump organization, and AWS will know that you're getting that discount in your account and on the Pump level.
So what number
way
will
you
we
can
pay
actually
on your
you can actually
Pump
see your-
platform or AWS account?
Sorry, what was that? One more time.
So what the actual billing number that we're gonna pay? For example, is it on the Pump platform or is it on AWS console?
Those two will be the same. Those will both be the discounted price. The original cost, we actually do track that through the Pump website. You'll be able to see what you were originally paying before Pump or without Pump. But the AWS Cost Explorer will reflect the savings that you're getting with Pump.
Okay.
So those will be the same. So actually, if I go back to this page right here, I can kind of give you a better idea on where you would see. This is an estimate example because once you join Pump, the estimate obviously is cleared, and then we start counting your savings. But let's pretend this was an actual savings generation. What you'd see is this number right here, this 264 number, 264,000. That will be, and all the costs associated, right? Like this number right here. Those will all be in your Cost Explorer because AWS knows that you're saving money with Pump if you join our organization. You will be able to see the original costs. We maintain those original costs. Those are super easy to calculate because all we do is we just take all of your workloads that didn't have past savings on them, and AWS actually has public prices for their on-demand workloads. So we do help you kind of see what you'd be paying without Pump, but both the AWS console as well as Pump console will reflect the same number down here, your actual costs.
Okay.
So are you guys like the solution provider or reseller we're working currently a similar role?
Yeah, we probably have similarities. Do you have to pay a service fee, or do they take a portion of your savings with your current partner?
They give us like few percent of the discount, but the difference is right now, for example, if our billing is 10K in our console, maybe we pay 9K to them.
Gotcha. Yeah, so if they're giving you like a 3% discount, they or whatever you said, a few percent,
Yeah.
maybe it's 3%. They just say, hey, here's 3%, here you go. Yeah, so we're a little different. Obviously, we can achieve much higher savings in the way that we do it with our optimization engine, but it works on a similar model. But we can just achieve better savings because we save on more products and we're not just giving a flat small discount, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay.
Just due to our sheer volume, just because we have so many customers and so much under our management.
I see.
Yeah, any other questions I can help with?
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have no extra question for now. So how should we arrange the next meetings?
Yeah, let me know what is a good time for you. Can you meet later this week or can you do next week?
We perhaps prefer next week.
Okay, let me check my calendar. So we have our Independence Day in the U.S. is on Friday. Here, it is currently. Is it morning for you in Taiwan right now?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
11 a.m. Around
Okay, let me-
11:30 a.m. now in Taipei.
Okay, let me check my calendar really quick. I need to paste this link. And what day works best for you? So we're gonna be gone. Actually, I guess we can do your. Yeah, so we'll be gone. Oh, that would be Saturday for you, so that's not an issue. What's the best day for you to meet? I'll just ask you that.
Are you on? Do you work on July 1st? Is it national holiday?
Yeah. So no, we're fine. We're gonna work. Our holiday is on Friday, so it would be your Saturday, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Can you do? Yeah. So that you want July 1st your time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I can do June 30th is my June 30th at currently for me it's 8:30 p.m. Could you do 6 p.m., which would be your 9 a.m. on July 1st?
9 a.m. July 1st. Yes, sure, no problem.
Awesome. And then I'm going to, that would be my 6 p.m. Oh, I'm actually booked. Can I do, let me check my calendar. I might be able to do a little bit later on the 30th. What am I looking at here? Monday, okay. Sorry, 1 second. Need to check
Or
my
July
calendar.
2nd will also be fine to us.
You know, I'd actually prefer July 1st
Yeah,
at
sure. No problem.
7 p.m., which would be your 10 a.m. Does that work?
Yes.
Great. And then let me put in your email. Let me make sure that you get this, and then, yeah, we'll meet next week. And these Gmails are the best for you guys. Is it jemmylmc@gmail.com?
Yes. Please send
Got it.
the invitation to that mail. We'll be fine.
Yep, got it. And that's Jemmy Lee, just filling this out.
Yes.
And then you guys are spending about 10K right now per month?
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, so just sent that over. And then I will add, is it John?
Yes, it's John.
Is it kchen@1879@gmail, or is that someone else's Gmail?
That's someone else. But
Okay, so-
it's okay. I will send them the invitation.
Awesome. Yeah, you can add them as well. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate the call. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Great. Thanks, Jimmy. You too. Bye.